Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to our call for the night, Extreme
Good
Business
evening.
Makeover Training. There's Laurel there. And rather than get into some of the technical details tonight, what I'd like to do is just talk about strategy a little more. And one of the things that I think when you're talking about selling or marketing anything is kind of getting the big picture. And this is really what helped me, I think, 10 years ago, making the transition out of, I'd say, education and really a big corporate sense of what marketing was, or a textbook sense, to trying to market for, or what a small business does. And so I hope that this will be helpful to you. I know we have been through this, a number of different times, and I want to push back, our discussion about podcasting, until we've just done a few more foundational things, and that is what we'll be doing tonight. And I've titled this strategic marketing, and what seems to be a broad topic is really, I think, something that will make sense to you. And what I will just rely on Laurel to do is, when she's ready to break in, is to just interrupt me. And other than that, let's just give a big overview. Let's talk overview about strategic marketing. And again, if you've got a small business, if you're marketing information, you're marketing yourself, whatever it is that you're marketing or selling, I think this will really help you, because this will give you the big picture. So let's talk about strategic marketing. And um, basically, you start by asking a few questions. How do you solve the most difficult sales or marketing problems that you have? Whether I don't have enough sales, whether there are not enough people coming in, how do you start thinking about solving those problems? And so strategic marketing will really do that. And every business, regardless of what they're selling, is going to be looking to maximize the number of sales that they're doing for whatever the time and money that they've got to put into their business. That's really what sales and marketing is. And the question is always going to be, well, how do I change whatever my result is? So whatever I'm doing in sales, how do I change that number? How do I make that number higher for all the time and money, that I can put in? I mean, obviously, if you've got unlimited money to put into making sales, if you've got unlimited time, you can raise that sales number, whatever it is. But the question is, if you've got finite amount of time and finite amount of money, how do you change the number from zero to something higher, or to zero to whatever your goal is? And so there's always a formula that if you think through this framework, you'll be able to answer those questions. It'll always help you to improve whatever you're doing in terms of your sales and marketing. And so I'm gonna do this by asking you a series of questions, a series of questions to really think about. And these questions are going to be designed to help you diagnose what'll be less than adequate in your business. Whatever it is that you want to increase in terms of results, if you can think through this framework that we're going to be sharing with you tonight, this will help you to walk through, a process of, how do I raise the number of sales, and what you can change in your business right now in order to do that. Um, but before we get started with that, there are some ground rules that we need to talk about before we can talk about the framework. And the first thing is that you really do have to be tracking all your results. So whatever you're doing to get sales results, whether it is putting a business card someplace, whether it is taking out a yellow page ad, whatever it is, your tracking really has to be to the point where you know exactly what you're spending in terms of time and money, and what the exact result is going to give you. So all the individual efforts that you're making for marketing, you've got to know exactly what those efforts cost you. Again, time and or money, and then what they yield. Only that effort. And so what that may mean is that you've got to outline some ways to track those systems, so that you know exactly what came from. If it's gonna be a business card that you put at a specific place, you've got to know what that business card that you put at that place actually did. And everyone has got to be marked, everyone has got to be coded, everyone has got to be specific so that you know what that effort actually did. Because again, you then know what you're going to be putting effort back into in order to make it work. I mean, all sales are a barometer is to make adjustments in what you're doing, right? But if you don't make any adjustments and you just assume that all your efforts together are bringing you the sales you're bringing in, you're probably going to be leaving money on the table, because what you could do is you could take some of the effort that you're putting into something that's not working so well, and to add that effort to something that is working well. And so again, but if you're not tracking, it's almost impossible to be able to tell that or do anything about it. And so we've got to be clear on doing the things that are necessary in the business right now. So what does that mean? You and I have to know how many new leads and prospects are coming into the business and what they're costing us in terms of time and money. So when you get someone new that shows up, again, it's really simple, is to find out exactly how they heard about you. Find out where they heard about you. If you can, finding out the path that they took in order to find out about you, or in order to come to give you a call, or in order to show up at an event that you did. You've got to be able to know what that person did in order to get to you. Um, Sometimes it's going to be a matter of understanding what your emails do. Other times, you're going to have to understand, how you track individuals and how you keep in contact with them. And this may mean, if you were using email, right, you'd have to make sure that you're tagging people, and that's going to be a technical term. We're going to get into what that means. But the most important thing is that once you understand where that person came from, is understanding or being able to specify how long it's going to take you to turn that lead from that source into actual revenue. And so if you can do that on a regular basis, you're going to be able to really kind of fine tune your marketing to do the things that are working and not do the things that are not working, and to kind of put effort into those things that you know will give you the maximum for the time and effort that you have. Again, you've got finite time, you've got finite resources in order to put into this. And again, the how good, and this is a question, because if you can get good at turning prospects into customers, if you can get better at that, then you can start spending effort toward putting resources into those leads that you generate from a source that you're good at turning those kind of prospects into customers. So again, wherever you can get better at turning prospects into customers, again, you got to be able to track the ones that you're able to do that for. You should know exactly what activity is causing leads to occur, and what happens after they become customers. And again, these are ground rules that we have to understand before we start talking about the framework. These are things that you've got to kind of understand. Again, if I were to just kind of summarize all this, tracking the people that actually bring you revenue and make you money. Um, Understanding all these things, understanding what gives you the best results, means then that you're going to be able to kind of operate under the 80-20 rule. You're going to spend 80% of your time on the 20% of the things that actually bring you the results. And there may be a lot of things that you're doing, but until you really know the things that are bringing you all the results, you've got to then you've got to kind of curtail the activities that are not bringing you the results, and put your time and effort and money and resources into those things that actually are. So here's the framework, right? So if you're tracking, if you are doing a great job of tracking, even if it is in a broad sense, and even if you can get better at tracking, once you understand where the people are coming from and how they're getting to you, what you can then do is you can then begin thinking through this framework for marketing. And again, this underlies everything. So if you're thinking, well, I want to do social media, you ought not undertake social media until you understand what we're talking about in this framework. If you want to undertake making your website visible in search, you ought not do that until you understand the framework we're going to be talking about. If you want to start doing events, and you want to start doing online events, or you want to start selling books, You ought not do that until you understand the framework we're going to be talking about. So, what's the framework? And I'm going to do this in a series of questions. And so, the first question is, do your products or services have some kind of unique selling proposition? Almost seems elementary, but it is necessary. And if you don't do this for everything, absolutely everything that you sell, whatever you're putting together in terms of an offer for your customers or for your prospects is probably not going to make the sense that you want it to make. So, in other words, you and I have to be able to put together something that gives people a reason over and above doing nothing to buy from us, right? So it's got to be something that people cannot get elsewhere. It's got to be something that people can't get elsewhere right now. People can't get elsewhere in the near future. And this is what brings people back to us over and over again. And so can you answer this question? Is there a reason to buy your product or buy the product or service you're selling from you and not from anyone else? And again, this is a very easy thing to fix if you know you've got to be able to answer that question. And so whatever your offer is, whatever your core service is, whatever your product or products are, can you do something to them so that they become something that people cannot get from any place other than you? Because when that happens, right, then you can then stop competing on the basis of price. You don't have to be in the ballpark. You don't have to be you don't have to be close to everybody in price. You don't even have to really worry about your competition, only in that, are they going to be doing the same things? But when you are offering people something that they want, that they cannot get from any place other than you can then compete on something other than price. And so that means then that if you don't do that, right? If you don't have things in your product line, your service line, or anything that you're offering, then you're going to always have to cut price in order to be profitable. And so that's always difficult to do, because basically what you're doing is, even if you're selling, a digital product or a service, what you're doing is you're making it so that you're going to have to produce more, and you're going to have to spend more time in production. And all that does is that means then you're less profitable. And so, um, if you can uniquely understand your customer's challenge and then try to solve it in what you offer, you can then begin to design things that are going to be unique. So what you do as a result of this is, when you look at what you're selling, think back through how it solves whatever the customer is undertaking, and then how much more can you add to it to uniquely solve the problem that people actually want. And so we've got to be able to then take those things that we're doing and then communicate those things throughout the sales process to whatever our unique selling proposition is. And then again, whatever you're doing, it's a long and short term strategy, right? So that's really the first question that you and I need to be able to answer is, what is our unique selling proposition? The second thing that we need to have is, do we have multiple opportunities for the customer to buy from us? Again, it seems very simple and elementary, but it's something that if you're not uh, doing on purpose, that you have to start doing on purpose. Whatever your core offering is, when I get ready and I pull out whatever it is, my checkbook or my credit card or my PayPal, can you can you give me the option, or where is the option, or even if it's during your sales conversation with me, are you going to give me the option of either doing an upgrade, or what I call a side grade? Can I get something else that I'm going to need, that I'll probably get from elsewhere? In some cases, you may not be able to physically create something, but you may want to send people to a person that you have a relationship with, that they'll either give you a sales commission or they'll give you some kind of credit every time you send a customer to them. Whatever it is, everything that's going to be associated with your sale, everything that's going to be associated with what I buy from you, you should be thinking about everything that I might possibly buy, everything that might come as a result of that. And how can you be part of the process in offering those things? Now, again, some of these things are going to be easier to do when you're online, but again, it doesn't really matter whether you're online or offline, whether you're in an event, whether you are at your storefront, it doesn't matter. Every person that comes in is typically not just going to buy your service. And so what you have to do is figure out, how can I offer them everything they're going to need, everything that's going to help them to be successful with what they're buying from you, everything that's going to help them to enjoy what you're buying from me. Can I offer that to them? And so these are things that need to be part of the sales process, because what they're the part of sales that they're going to be the easiest sales you're going to make. And really, when you place them strategically inside of the area where people are going to make the purchase, they're marketing. What you're doing is you're going through a thought process of understanding me, your customer, understanding my unique problems, understanding why I came to you, and then saying, what can I put in close proximity of their purchase to make it easy for them? It can be something as simple as slipping a brochure with the very next purchase that they need to make inside the package they're going to be purchasing. It really doesn't matter. As long as you can think through everything, right? Everything that I could possibly want, everything that I could possibly buy, if you can be involved in the sales process for it some kind of way, you want to be able to be part of it. And so the other thing that you can do is, as people make purchases from you, and especially if you're selling, coaching or information, is to think of the levels. So in other words, people are going to be experiencing some kind of, success with you, and that's going to put them that's going to make them competent at a basic level. So the question is going to be, what else can you do to make them even more competent? You can take them to another level, so to speak. And so if you think about, maybe, someone can purchase the basic level for you, but when they've crossed that level, or they've gained competence, what can you do to take them to the next level? And typically you're going to ask for a little more money to get them to that advanced level. And so you should always be thinking about, especially when you're helping somebody to improve, or you're helping somebody to attain a new skill, or you're helping someone to avoid something. What can you do at different levels? What can you do to offer a higher level of service, even if it's going to cost them a little more? Because again, there's always going to be someone that's going to be willing to pay a little more in order to get a little more of you and to get you at a higher level, whatever you can offer. And so if you can do that in terms of products, do it. If you can do that in terms of your services, do it. And these are going to be things that are going to be made easy for that they're going to make it easy for your customers to buy, whether they're online or offline. You're going to make it easy for them to get these additional things. When you're online, you're going to make sure that they see them when they go to the checkout. When you're offline, you're going to make sure they see them when they're making their purchase. One of the best places to put things that they're going to need is to make sure they see it on their receipt, or you're going to see it you're going to see it in the bag that they have. Whatever it is that you can do so they see all of the logical steps they're going to make. Now, again, the most important thing to this is being relevant and being contextual. So in other words, can you make sure that what they see isn't going to be something that's random? So, probably, the best example that you see of this is when you go to the dentist. The dentist can typically recommend some kind of orthodontic service to you. They can typically recommend some kind of oral service, oral service to you. And sometimes they're going to be sending you to somebody that's a partner of theirs, and we'll talk about that. And other times, they're just going to be things that you can buy right from them right there in their office. And so everything that you can do to kind of keep them purchasing from your service and from your business, you need to be thinking about. So never think of one sale, or never think of one level of service, or never think of one thing that you're going to be offering that you cannot actually put something together. And again, I mean, what do we call this? We call this upselling. But regardless of what you call it, it is a discipline to put yourself through. And so to be able to answer that question is a good discipline to do. Now, the third thing is probably something that you may or may not feel as if it's something that you want to do. And typically, whenever we discuss this is where we lose people. People are not willing all the time to do these things. But this is where it really is important for you to focus in, whatever your strategy is. Whatever your marketing system is, this is where people are a little hesitant to do this. And this is the third question that we would ask you. Do you have a way of consistently contacting your customers on a regular basis once they've purchased, or even when they become your prospect? Because again, I'm almost certain you're probably already tracking. You probably already have a unique selling proposition on everything that you sell. That would be my guess. You probably are already, I mean, it is business and it is marketing. I'm almost sure that you probably are offering some kind of way for someone to purchase a higher level of service or a higher level of product or something that they can add on, or they can buy that from you. That people are typically doing. But this third thing is a sticking point to every business owner that I've talked to, and it is this: do you have a way, once you have made a sale, of regularly contacting your customers? Now, again, you can contact them by phone every week, but that's inefficient. What you and I really have to be doing on a regular basis, and again, every market is going to be different, is we've got to be contacting our customers on a regular basis, if for no other reason than to remind them of all of the other things that they could be getting in order to get the most out of what they're buying from us. In other words, how can you help me to enjoy what I purchased from you? Am I purchasing a service from you? Am I purchasing coaching from you? What else can you sell to me, or what else can you get me to do that will help me in order to enjoy that more? But you can't do that everything. You can't do all of that at the point of sale. You've got to be able to do some of that over time. And the easiest way to do that is to be in regular contact with your customers. And the question is going to be, do you have a way of contacting your prospects and your customers right now? And if you don't, that's almost going to be, if you don't do anything else from what we discussed here tonight, um, this is the area that you've really got to be kind of zeroed in and dialed in to start thinking about, okay, you know what? I need to do a newsletter, or I need to do some kind of email, or I need to do something so that I'm contacting people on a regular basis. And again, now when we get into email later on in the year here, I actually believe that you should be talking to them on a daily basis. But even if you're not talking to them on a daily basis right now, on a weekly basis, if I am your customer and I don't hear from you, number one, I probably won't refer you. Number two, if you don't contact me on a regular basis, I probably will not feel the need in order to buy more products or service from you. If you don't contact me on a regular basis, I probably will not find the need in order to think about buying from your partner. And so all of that comes with your contacting me, your customer, on a regular basis. The easiest way to do that, of course, is always going to be email. But I mean, you can actually send out a physical newsletter if you think that that's really what's going to be. And again, the reason you do this is because it is marketing. The easiest person to sell to is me, your customer. If I've already purchased from you, I like you enough, I trust you enough, I know you enough that I've already purchased from you, I'm already your customer. The marketing that you need to do, the most profit that you're going to be able to extract, the most profit you're going to be able to put together for your business, that you don't have to spend any money on advertising on, that you don't have to spend any time going out to put business cards about. You don't have to spend any money or any time or any energy, is me, your customer. And so if you can figure out how to market more to me based on helping me to enjoy what I'm purchasing from you, you are going to be more profitable. Every person that purchases from you is willing to buy more. They're always willing to buy more. What you have to do is be in contact with them. And so there are ways to do that. But the first step is really establishing that, okay, you know what? When you come in contact with me, there's a newsletter that you can get from me. There's an email list that you can join that I'll be writing to you on a weekly basis so that I can educate you on all of the things. Let's say, if I come to your restaurant and I purchase, and I purchase a meal there. Well, look, maybe I'd like to come back if you offer me a discount or if you educate me on my choices on food. But if you don't do any of those things, out of sight, out of mind. And trust me, people are always willing to buy from other people, and they're always there's always going to be people, and there are always going to be opportunities for people to make more sales, but those sales could belong to you if you were in contact with me, your customer. um, so if you have a way that you are in regular contact with those that have already purchased from you, you are doing great. But you can do better the more you contact them. Again, we'll talk about that a little later on in the year. But the first step really is taking the step of putting people either on some kind of email list or some kind of newsletter. And you're going to feel like, okay, you know what? This is money that I'm spending. But listen, the money that you spend to be in contact with people that have already purchased from you is pales in comparison to any money that you're going to spend on new advertising to people that don't know you, people who never heard of you, and you have no idea if they're going to even like what you say in terms of your advertising. The best advertising that you can do is to write me on a regular basis. Now, you might say, I don't want to do that. Nobody wants to hear from me. People always want to hear about what they purchased. And one of the themes that you're going to hear us say over and over again is no one's thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves. As your customer, I mean, I've got my, I've got issues I'm dealing with. I've got kids I'm dealing with. I'm not thinking about you. If you email me twice, 4 times in a month, I'm not offended. I don't really care. I'm thinking about me. I'm worried about me. I'm worried about my problems. And I'm actually even worried about, can you help me? And so when you send an email, man, I probably wouldn't, I may not read half of them, but the one day that you email me and I'm thinking about the problem that I have, I pick up your email and I think, you know what? Wow, you know what? That's exactly what I need to do. And so again, but the discipline is, are you in regular contact with the people that are, number one, your prospects, number two, your customers? And are you doing that on a regular basis, whatever regular is? Now, it depends on what market that you're in. The market that I, sell content in, I write people every day, sometimes twice a day. But that may not be the case for your people. I'm almost going to say, and I'll make the case for this again later in the year, that you should be doing this every day. But even if you don't, I'm going to say at minimum, you should be writing weekly. And you should be telling people something, educating me, brightening my day, doing something so that I know you're still here. If I've already bought from you, I already like you enough. I already trust you enough that I pulled out my card and I've given you money. I trust you enough that I've written a check to you. I've trusted you enough I put cash in your hand. I've trusted you enough so that I've entrusted my children to you. I'm paying you. I like you enough. You and I have established something. I would love to hear from you. Right. And so again, don't think from the standpoint that, hey, nobody, they've already buying from me. I don't want to irritate them. No, you write the email, because the worst that you can do is that you'll write an email and I won't read it. Right. So um, maybe I won't read your email, but if you don't send it, I will spend money elsewhere. It'll just be with someone else. So this has to be systematic, as everything that we're talking about in terms of your marketing. So whatever your contact system is, some people send out a newsletter. Some people send out a Valpak coupon on a regular basis. It doesn't matter what it is. You have got to be in contact with me, your customer, and me, your prospect, on a regular basis if you want to be effective in your marketing. And so um, I just want to kind of close out on this question, and here is, if you can make it in my best interest to read your email on a daily basis, or to read your newsletter, or to wait for your training, then I will probably read it, and I will probably be there. But you cannot do that unless you're doing that on a regular basis. Now, the fourth and final question is this: are you partnering with other people in your marketplace to grow your customer base? Because that's the easiest way to grow your customer base, is to look for people who already have relationships with the kind of customer that you want and to start forming partnerships. And you know what? There is no limit to the number of partnerships that you can make. You should be making partnership with someone once a week, right? Someone once a week who is in contact with your customer. That will expand your customer base. And the more that you can do that, the more that you can be involved in activities, the more that you can engage with those customers, the more that you're going to see the number of people who are new coming into your marketing. Um, Again, now you don't want to be, you don't want to partner with people in this way with people who are competing against you, right? So basically what we're talking about is we're talking about businesses that have the same customer base but don't compete with us. For example, we're talking about a dentist that may, work with an orthodontist, a dentist that may work with, an oral surgeon. And they sort of have a relationship where, what, if I have a customer and that customer needs a dentist, right? I'm an orthodontist. My customer needs extractions. I'm going to send them to you, Mr. Dentist, and then they're going to need an oral surgeon for some of that. And I'm going to send them to you, Mr. Oral Surgeon. And we've got a relationship with each other because basically what we're saying is that I'm always going to refer my customers to you. And so the more of those relationships that you can make, the more of those relationships that are going to send you customers without you having to spend a dime on advertising. The more you're going to have customers coming to you that you didn't have to work for. The more you're going to have customers coming to you that you don't have to hog tie and bring them to you. Relationships are where you bring your customers to you and where you send customers and develop partnerships without having to do a lot of work and without having to spend a lot of money. And so we've got a way to look to trade endorsements. So we help people to grow their customer base and they help us to do the very same thing. And so if you have so there are 52 weeks in every year. 52 weeks, and the things that we encourage people to do is by the time the calendar year ends, you want to have 52 different relationships. 52 relationships, one a week, where you're basically going to people and saying, hey, you know what? I have people that do, these things on a regular basis, and I'd like to find a way so that we can kind of talk to each other and we can refer customers to each other, or I can endorse you to my people, you can endorse me to your people, so that they know what I have, and so that your people know what I have, and my people know what you have. These are easy things to do, and a whole lot easier than spending money you don't have on advertising. A whole lot easier than spending time you don't have in terms of getting customers on things you don't know they're going to work. If you already know that person has a customer base that you have, and you can on a weekly basis find a new person to establish a relationship with, what's going to happen is these things start to snowball. Now, again, that might mean that you're going to have to be referring these people, referring these businesses to your customers, but that's not work for you, right? And especially not work if you already have a regular way of contacting people on a regular basis. If you have an email newsletter, you can always tell people about a new partner that you have. You can always tell people about someone that you know now that you can refer. But again, these things work together. So if you're, number one, you have a USP. That's what we talked about first. Number two, that you find ways that you are always upselling. Number three, that you have a way of contacting people on a regular basis. And number four, that you are looking for marketing alliances. That's the technical term. But basically, all it is a way of finding ways of complementing your business with people that already have your customer base. Now, again, I mean, one of the ways that you make this happen is you make it so that you give that person some kind of financial incentive, a referral fee or an affiliate fee. I mean, there are all kinds of ways to do that. There are technical ways to do that. We'll talk about those later on in the year. And there are ways that you can just kind of have an informal relationship. Now, again, what I will tell you is that the more of a formal financial incentive that I have to refer customers to you, I'll do it. Right? I mean, it just works that way. So, you know, excuse me, if you say that every customer that comes to me, right? That I'm going to get some kind of financial incentive, or every customer comes to you, I'm going to get some kind of financial incentive. I'll refer more customers to you. So if you can figure out ways to make sure that it is financially in my best interest, the more I'll do it. And so again, but these things, they take time, but they never even start until you begin to start talking to people that have your customer base. And this is, again, once again, it is a whole lot easier to do that than spend money you don't have on advertising. Um, who in your market right now would be willing to partner with you in order to build their customer base? So in other words, you already have a group of customers that you can refer to other people who will work with you. Trust me, there are always people who are willing to work with you. All you've got to do is think about this way. What do I need what do I need before I engage with your product or service? What would I need before to be successful with you? What am I going to need while I'm your customer? What am I going to need after I'm your customer? So if you can start, if you just write those three questions down, what will I need before I'm your customer to be successful? What will I need while I'm your customer to be successful? What will I need after your customer to be successful or to enjoy what you're doing more? Once you answer those things, start to look for people who already have those products and services and start figuring out, okay, you know what? How can you and I work together? You and I have the same customer base, but we don't compete with each other. How can we work together? There are always ways and there are always people. Um, you can do a lot of these things, with websites and thank you pages. You can do a lot of these things on the back of business cards. You can do a lot of these things on brochures. If you've already got advertising that you're doing, all you've got to do is make a little more room for the people that you are working together with. And so if you can do these things on a regular basis and create systems with these things, what you can do is you're going to find that if you have a unique selling proposition, if number two, if you're always upselling, number three, if you are contacting people on a regular basis, and number four, if you are working to build marketing alliances, these are the things that you and I must be doing before we start talking about social media. These are the things we need to be doing. These are the fundamental and these are the foundational things, because these are the things that once you begin to get traffic on social media, these are the things that will skyrocket those results. So in other words, you can get great results, if you all of a sudden go viral on something, right? But we don't have to go viral if we have these systems in place. If you have these systems in place, you don't have to be viral, because these things are almost like an operating system running in the background. If you have unique products, they're always going to be desirable. That was step one we talked about. If you have upsells and cross sells, in other words, it doesn't end at the product or service I just bought and a product line, right? You are going to be more profitable. If you have a way to sell to your customers when you make contact with them on a regular basis after they purchase from you, or if you have a way of turning your prospects into a customer by keeping in contact on a regular basis, you are going to be more profitable. This is a marketing system. You will then need to continually find that customers will be most interested in buying your entire product line, and then you and I will then be maximizing our time and our income. And that's really what this is really all about. So, what I wanted to do tonight was to just talk about, before we start talking about some of the technical marketing things, these are the marketing systems that have to be part of your everyday routine, a part of getting the word out about what you're doing. Even if what you're doing is selling information, even if you decide you want to sell coaching, you and I need to be doing these four things. These are going to be the things that will make everything sell. So in other words, do we have unique selling proposition? Are we upselling and cross-selling? Are we in contact with customer and prospects on a regular basis? And then finally, are we building new marketing alliances every day as a discipline, every single week? Whether it is, you pick a day. You know what? Tuesday is a day I make contact with someone new to see if I can develop a marketing alliance. There are always marketing alliances. If you do one every single week, you'll have 52 marketing alliances. You have something actually to write to your people on your email list about. And with all these systems work together so that, again, you're not spending time and money that you may or may not have on advertising. Okay. All right. So any questions? Any questions? Any questions about any of the four things, whether it's USP, whether it is upsells and cross sells, whether it is regular contact, or marketing alliances? Any questions on any of those four things? Any questions? We'll get into regular contact. We talk about email, obviously. And when you have a site, I mean, there are definitely ways that you can very easily upsell and cross sell once you have your site. We'll be talking about that throughout the year. So, we'll definitely get into those things. But if you understand marketing as these four systems, then everything you do is going to generate more income for you. Everything that you do in terms of advertising will end up bringing you not only more leads, but those leads will be more profitable. If you have these four things operating as a system. If you don't have these four things operating as a system, even if you're wildly successful, you could be more successful, right? Even if you're not generating the income or not generating the activity that you want, these four systems are the things that you can put in place immediately and see an impact to your business immediately, right? So everybody has to have these four things operating in their business. You must have these things if you're going to market your business, market your product, market your book, market your service, market your coaching, market your whatever it is. These four things must be in operation. Okay. So any questions? Any questions? Okay, so yeah, so this week was one where I really just want to, but before we start getting into technical things, I kind of thought about this, and I think that this is a little more important to kind of lay some foundation before we get into things that I think will be more, more meaty. But this is what must be operating in your on your operating system of your business even before we get to those things. Okay, any final questions? Okay, everybody. Well, if there are no questions, then I will tell you, I appreciate you all being out here. Appreciate you all. I hope that this was helpful for you to think through in terms of a framework. And if you need a handout for this, just email us, and we're happy to send you I'll send you the PowerPoint, just a framework that you can begin to think through, in terms of your marketing.
To what email should they send that?
They can send that to support@gainmindshare.com. Support@gainmindshare.com. Okay, yep, and you're welcome, Mrs. Roberts. You're welcome. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for being here. I'm going to say good night.
Oh, okay. And I'll say good night too.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.